Some people carry wounds they can't see, explain, or even remember. Pain that didn't start with them, but somehow shaped every part of who they are. You might think you're just too sensitive, or that you're overreacting, self-sabotaging, or struggling for no reason. But what if the reason goes back decades, or even generations? This is generational trauma, the emotional inheritance no one talks about. And once you see the signs, you can't unsee them. These aren't just quirks, these are patterns, passed down, absorbed, and repeated. And if you're not aware of them, you'll carry someone else's pain like it's your own. Today, we're breaking down 8 subtle but powerful signs of generational trauma. These might explain more about your life than any diagnosis ever could, especially number 5, because for many, that's the one that stays hidden the longest. Let's get into it. Sign 1. You apologize for existing. You say sorry when someone bumps into you. You downplay your needs. You shrink in conversations. It's more than being polite. It's a deep-seated belief that your presence is a burden. This often traces back to generations that were taught to survive by being invisible. Maybe your grandparents had to stay quiet to stay safe. Maybe your parents were taught that emotions were dangerous. And now, you're carrying that same silence in a world where your voice actually matters. Sign 2. Hyper-independence isn't a strength, it's a shield. You pride yourself on never needing help. You take on everything alone. You don't ask, you don't rely. And when you break down, it's always in private. That's not self-sufficiency, that's survival mode. It's learned behavior from caregivers who taught you, directly or indirectly, that love was conditional or that vulnerability wasn't safe. Sometimes being strong is just the only way you were allowed to exist. Sign 3. Emotional expression feels uncomfortable, even unsafe. You don't cry in front of others. Anger makes you anxious. Joy feels foreign. You're not numb, but your emotions are behind thick glass, always slightly out of reach. You may have grown up in a home where feelings were punished or mocked, and now you carry that same emotional restriction, even if no one's punishing you anymore. Generational trauma turns emotional repression into a family tradition. Sign 4. You feel responsible for everyone's emotions. You scan every room, read every facial twitch, feel guilty when others are upset, even when it has nothing to do with you. That kind of hyper-awareness doesn't come from nowhere. It's usually the result of growing up around unpredictability, mood swings, conflict, silence that felt like danger. You became the emotional caretaker, not because you wanted to, but because you had to. Sign 5. You sabotage good things because they feel unsafe. This is one of the most dangerous ones, and the easiest to miss. You push away healthy relationships. You downplay your wins. You start drama when things get too peaceful. Why? Because calm doesn't feel familiar. Dysfunction does. When love was inconsistent or came with conditions, safety starts to feel like a trick, and you sabotage it to regain control. Not because you're broken, but because your nervous system never learned what peace feels like. Sign 6. You carry guilt that doesn't belong to you. This one is heavy. You feel guilty for not calling enough, for having boundaries, for wanting more. You feel like you're betraying your family by healing. Generational trauma often comes with a script. We struggled so you could succeed. Don't forget where you came from. And while that can be rooted in love, it can also weaponize guilt. Healing doesn't mean disrespecting your roots. It means ending cycles so the next ones planted don't have to carry the same weight. Sign 7. You struggle with identity because you were never allowed to have one. If you feel like you don't really know who you are, if your personality shifts depending on who you're around, that's not random. You may have grown up in survival mode, always adapting, always people-pleasing, because having your own identity was either unsafe or simply not an option. Generational trauma doesn't just wound, it erases. Sign 8. You're healing, but you feel isolated doing it. You're going to therapy, reading, learning, growing, but no one in your family understands. Some might mock you, others might shut down, and some just stay silent. That's what makes generational trauma so difficult to break, because healing it often means being the first. And being the first is lonely. But someone has to be brave enough to stop the bleeding, to stop the patterns, to give future generations something different. And maybe that someone is you. You didn't ask for this, and you're not weak for feeling the weight of it. The pain you're carrying might not have started with you, but the healing can. Generational trauma survives in silence. It ends when we name it. So let's talk about it. Which of these 8 signs hit you the hardest? Drop a comment below. Let's keep this conversation going, because you are not alone. If this video spoke to you, then you need to check out my last video, 6 Stages of Abuse 4 is the most dangerous. That one breaks down how abuse evolves in stages. In stage 4, it's the one that traps most people without them even realizing it. And hey, if this helped you in any way at all, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You're not here by accident. Let's keep healing, one step at a time.